Hi, Daniel here. Now let's talk about investing strategies. In particular, let's talk about dollar cost averaging. In today's video, we'll be exploring what dollar cost averaging is, its effectiveness, and whether or not you should consider it as an investment strategy. So let's get started. Now what is dollar cost averaging and does it work? According to Investopedia, this is the definition of dollar cost averaging. But basically, in layman terms, what this means is that instead of slowly saving up and YOLOing your entire savings by investing based on a single entry price on a single day, you can either split up your existing savings or just simply start investing consistently over a period of time. The key to dollar cost averaging is to be consistent with respect to the invested amount as well as the frequency of your investments. Now that you've understood what dollar cost averaging is, the next question is, why should we even bother doing dollar cost averaging? Now the whole point of dollar cost averaging is for investors to kind of neutralize and lower the effects of speculation price developments and to capture the fundamental price developments of the underlying investment itself. Now what exactly is this speculative and fundamental price development? Let's explain. Speculative price development occurs when there is no change in the value of the investments itself, but maybe due to higher or lower demand, the price changes maybe for the better or for the worse, right? For example, if I were to buy a chicken that weighs 1 kg at $1 per kg, speculative price movement is when the price of the chicken increases, but the weight of the chicken remains the same. So now I can sell the same chicken that weighs 1 kg at $2 simply because more people demand it, right? On the other hand, fundamental price development occurs when there's a change in the value of the investments. In the case of the chicken analogy, the chicken may have grown from 1 kg to 2 kg, of which the increase in price from $1 to $2 is justified by the underlying change in the weight of the very chicken. As an investor, if you're only interested in capturing the fundamental growth and return of the underlying investments, and you do not want to be bothered with the effects of speculation, dollar cost averaging is the right strategy for you. Now, does dollar cost averaging actually work? Now, of course it works. Like all other investment strategies, there are specific market conditions of which dollar cost averaging works, and there are conditions where they do not work. Let's go through each of these different markets and understand the effectiveness of dollar cost averaging in each of these market conditions. To oversimplify, there are only 3 types of markets in the entire universe. Those that are developing, those that have already developed, and those that are in the course of a decline. Let's start by examining the first type of market, the developing market condition. If the fundamental of the investment is growing, like that of a developing countries or industries, and you have the investment horizon to capture this very growth, it really doesn't matter whether you dollar cost average or you invest via a lump sum. You will probably be able to make a return on your investments as you are capturing the growth of the investment itself, right? You're capturing the fundamental growth of the investment itself. In fact, if you're very confident about the growth of the investments and your own ability to ride through the ups and downs of the market, a lump sum approach will be better as compared to dollar cost averaging. Let me give you an example. If you know that the egg is going to hatch and the chicken is going to grow and be worth a certain value, does it matter when you buy this chicken as long as you invest in it before it is fully developed? In fact, isn't it better for you to just purchase and invest in this chicken at its earlier life stage rather than slowly buying more and more when the chicken is developing? Because you'll be missing out on its previous growth and development, right? The better question to ask in the case of investing in things that are fundamentally growing or investing in a developing market condition is this. Should you start dollar cost averaging today, or should you just wait, save up, and buy the dip at a later date? Now there's this article called Even God Can't Beat DCA, right? And the author explored these very questions in his article. I will link the article in the description below, so do check it out if you're interested to find out more details behind his findings. But in summary, if we are talking about a developing market situation, it is always better to just start investing via dollar cost averaging, as opposed to waiting and saving your money to invest in the next dip. That is true even if you can time the market perfectly and buy the dip 100% of the time. And that makes sense, right? Because if you think about it, in a developing market situation where prices are expected to increase, you would be better off investing and participating in the growth earlier as opposed to trying to wait for moments where the market dips. Because for every day that you're not invested, you are missing out on the fundamental growth of the investment itself. While the market may dip from time to time, it is unlikely that the price will drop way below the fundamental worth of the investment itself. Back to the chicken analogy. For every day that you're not invested, the chicken is growing, right? While there can be times where the price goes below what the chicken is worth at that given point in time, it will hardly go back down to where it was worth when it was an egg, right? And because of that, dollar cost averaging will always be better as compared to you trying to time the market and trying to wait for the next dip in a developing market condition. Hence, there's this saying, time in the market beats timing the market. Now, if the investment is not growing fundamentally, like that of developed countries and industries, dollar cost averaging works only if you can identify proper exit points, of which requires certain level of skill that unfortunately most people simply do not have, right? If you were to just blindly dollar cost average and hope to make a return after 5, 10 or 20 years, chances are is that you will probably end up with a very disappointing performance and at worst break even on your investments. Let me give you an example. If a chicken is already fully developed and you know that it is worth $10, you can dollar cost average all you want, but at the end of the day, the average price of all the chickens that you have bought would probably average out to be what it's worth, which is $10. So how then can you make a profit in such a scenario? The only way you can make a profit by doing dollar cost averaging into a developed market condition is to do the equivalent of what we call scalping, but with a longer investment horizon, right? Unfortunately, that requires you to have a very clear understanding of the true worth of the investment. And you must also have the time to monitor the market so you can take profit when the price is right, which unfortunately for most of the retail investors, they simply do not have the time nor the knowledge to pull it off. Back to the chicken analogy. If I know that the chicken is worth $10, you can dollar cost average to reduce the margin of error in terms of your entry price. But you need to have a target price in mind of which you must sell off your investments to materialize the profits generated by buying within the profit zone. If you were to just set and forget, at the end of the day, your average price is just going to be $10, which is what the chicken is originally worth, right? And that's the reason why you will realize that by blindly dollar cost averaging into things like the Straits Times Index or other developed countries or industries, it is not going to give you the return that you would like to see at the end of the day. That covers the second type of market condition. Lastly, let's talk about the third type of market condition, which are those that are in the course of a decline. Now, if the investment is destined to die off or become irrelevant, like those of a sunset industry, it doesn't really matter whether you dollar cost average or invest via lump sum. In fact, the longer your investment duration is, the larger your losses is going to be, because you're investing in things that are dying, and at the end of the day, these things are going to be essentially worthless, right? Let me give you an example. If you know that the chicken is already starting to show signs of aging and its health is beginning to deteriorate over time, does it make sense for you to invest in this chicken? Especially so if you know that the eventual result is the death of the chicken itself. The same can be applied in the business and investment context. Now, companies also go through business cycles and they also have life expectancies. If the company fails to innovate and improve, they run the risk of becoming obsolete. So if you were to invest in a company that had showed signs of deterioration and is in the course of a decline, it doesn't really matter whether you do dollar cost averaging or lump sum investing. At the end of the day, you would be lucky if your investments is still worth anything. So there you have it. That covers the gist of dollar cost averaging. Basically, in a market condition where things are still developing, it is better for you to just start investing and do dollar cost averaging as opposed to trying to time the market to buy the dip. as you will be missing out on the fundamental development and returns that happen along the way while you are waiting for a dip to happen, right? In a market condition where things are developed, dollar cost averaging works only if you are managing your investments properly and have an exit strategy or target price point in mind. If you are blindly dollar cost averaging in a developed market, unfortunately, dollar cost averaging is not going to be very effective. In a market situation where things are in the course of a decline, neither dollar cost averaging or lump sum will work if the very investment is destined to become irrelevant and worthless at the end of the day, right? That's all I have for this video today. If you'd like to find out more about investment strategies and also learn about how you can go about to do fundamental and technical analysis, I'll link a playlist in the outro later. Right, for now, help me smash the like button and subscribe to this channel to stay updated with future videos. If you have any questions, thoughts, or feedback, comment in the comment section below, and also do suggest what topics you would like me to voice my opinion on next. Thanks for watching.